good afternoon. So I'm here with a new BB pistol. I got this one from Pellpax. They deliver face to face this morning. I think about $8.99, and yeah. So this pistol's been around for quite a while. For the Ekol ES66, they do various different finishes as well. And they also do a compact version. Okay. So I'm going to run you through this pistol. Basically, show you what's in the box. So it comes with a manual. It's very basic. It tells you some of the data at the bottom, but I've also took some of my own data. Yeah, there's one page of English there at the front. That's it. That's all you get. And also on the back you get a breakdown. If I can just show you this, a breakdown of parts, and also some diagrams that relate to the instructions, and that's basically it. So not the greatest manual in the world. There is some important information, additional information, and this is important. Make sure you, if you do get one of these pistols, make sure you take note. Is you'll see it tells you to cock the hammer before you put your magazine in, and also that explains how to load the CO2. And see, it says it's a special type Allen key with a hole in it, so a standard Allen key won't fit, and just need to give it half a turn to set it. But the reason why they tell you to cock the hammer before you put the magazine in is otherwise you can damage the inside of the actual firer, the striker that strikes the valve and the CO2 magazine. So this is your special Allen key. It's got a hole at one end, so that goes into the magazine. I'll show you that. And also it comes with a small Allen key, and you can adjust the rear sight for windage, much like the CP88. Okay, so that comes in there as well. And then you get some brochures and that sort of rubbish. Okay, so it comes in this quite nice case. Yeah, it's a hard case, quite nice. This was $120. It cost me. So they've been around a while. They're non-blowback BB shooter. It very much resembles a Browning high power. Okay, see the grips are very reminiscent of that. Hammer is. So is the actual slide and the slide open, locking slide lock. Now it doesn't take this in the manual, but this has a decocker both sides. It's not a safety, by the way. So when you pull the trigger back, yeah, you sit the ambidextrous both sides, ambidextrous so both sides. Just flick it up, it decocks it. Okay, your mag release is there. Okay, so you can pop the mag out. We'll look at the mag first. The mag's all metal. It's got a slide that comes down and locks open as well, which is very good. It's got a magnetic area here. You can pick up BBs on that and load them, which is really handy. Just dip them in and load them into the actual. There's a nice big hole there. Holds 14 BBs. Drop them in there and then release it. Excuse me. There's a little like spring-loaded latch thing here, because the way this works is when you pull the trigger, the barrel comes backwards, goes through there, engages round the BB and then fires the BB out. So depending on what type of BB you use, excuse me, depending on how much resistance you feel, you find the steel ones and the daisy ones seem to be the best. Then it will fire dust devils. It sort of fires copper coated lead, but the thing is, because it's a magnet and copper coated leads are magnetic, it won't hold it. It holds dust devils because dust devils are magnetic, okay, are metal, so they're magnetic. Picked up by magnets, I should say. So yeah, that's all metal. That's the thing I was telling you about. See, it's got a little hole, so that engages with the Allen key. Yeah, and it goes in like that. A bit of Pelgan oil on the valve in there. And that's it on the capsule. Do it up half a turn once it's in. Yeah, so if you lose that, you could be in trouble. So make sure you don't lose that. Okay, so that's your magazine. So going on to the pistol. So it's really nice. This is the black version, and you see it's like a shiny enamel version. Looks really nice. Now you can actually operate the slide. The slide does work, but it only works to cock the hammer, and it only works when the magazine's out. So when magazine's in, you can't cock the slide. So you grab that, let go of it, and it cocks the hammer. Okay, and that is like really like, it's like a single action. Okay, so it actually you see it pull the barrel back, okay, and then if you keep pulling it, it goes all the way back, and then it fires at that point. So it pulls the actual barrel back inside the magazine, top of the magazine, that spring latch comes down, the edge of the actual barrel is pulled back into it, and then it fires it. So it's all the way back in when it fires it. Okay, so you can fire this obviously double action, which is effectively that, and also you can cock the hammer, and that sort of becomes like single action. Okay, the single action pull, you know, when the hammer's cocked, is £7. I did actually do a pull off on it. The slide lock doesn't work, but then again the slide doesn't move at all. It's not it's non-blowback. And also, once you've got the magazine in, obviously make sure the hammer's cocked before you put your magazine in. Okay, you can't move the slide anyhow. Okay, so you just fire it like that. Okay, I find the best way, single action or cocking the hammer back, is probably the best way to shoot this. It's got white dots at the back. Obviously, there's this Allen key there, so you can adjust the actual sight for windage left and right. Obviously, you can decock it like I showed before. And also, you can also decock it yourself just by holding the hammer back, pulling the trigger, and then the hammer forward. Okay. Grips are really nice. They're left and right-handed, the way they're curved. Okay, for a thumb, so you can fire it left or right-handed. It has got a sort of rifle barrel. I did shine a light through it from inside the mag well, and there is some sort of, looks like rifling actually in the barrel. So it looks like it could be either not smoothbore, there's some form of rifling. Bits like the SA-10, when I looked at that had like swirling on the inside of the barrel. It looks like it was like rifled. So yeah, it may well be a bit of rifling there, which would improve the accuracy. I mean, obviously it's a BB shooter, so you're going to fire steel BBs. I did try copper coated lead, but they didn't shoot that well because they weren't held by the magnet and they rolled out the barrel a lot of times. Dust Devils weren't very good either. They shot okay, but they're all over the place, okay, accuracy wise. Okay, so yes, there is some form of rifling in there. So yeah, obviously you're going to have to keep your give this a wipe down before you put it away, because it is one of those sort of pistols that attract fingerprints. Okay, did find some fingerprints on it when I first had it. Obviously, people have looked at it, but I've got a bit of metal polish. Just give it a little rub over, and it removed those greasy fingerprints, and it looks quite nice now. You see, okay. So yeah, that is the actual pistol. So dropping the magazine out isn't a problem, but you must remember to cock it. Yeah. So this impact point here, this spring-loaded plunger here, that's the one you've got to be careful of. When you cock the hammer, that springs that way, so it clears the actual valve, so you don't damage the valve. Okay. So once it's in, yeah, or you can just decock it like so. Right. So how does it shoot? Well, I put it through the Chrony. I just wanted to see what she do for the Chrony, and also it's been horrible weather outside, so I had a bit of a play with different BBs. So looking at the data, 14 shots, because it's a 14-shot magazine. I used some Umrex, which are 5.35 grain, and it averaged energy was 2.72. So this has a fair bit of grunt. Don't forget it's a non-blowback, okay, and the actual barrel comes back and basically goes into the actual magazine and basically seals the BB inside the barrel before it fires it. So the seal should be good, and also the efficiency of the actual CO2 should be pretty good as well. So that was 479 FPS average over 14 shots. So that's pretty good, and consistency was pretty good as well. I had a couple of low shots, but I think that was because I was maybe got a little bit too close to my R2A and it picked up the CO2 out of the barrel, and that gives a bit of false reading sometimes. But out of 12 shots of the 14, they averaged 12 FPS over 12 shots, which is pretty good. Tried some Dust Devils again. They shot pretty well, you know, because they've got like metal filings in them, so the magnet will hold them, no problem. But yeah, they weren't great. Let's put it that way. They fired okay, but they weren't particularly smooth because of the way that the nature of the BB. They're not perfectly round and smooth. Dust Devils, they're like a seam on them. So it depends how they sit over the seam. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. I also tried some Daisies as well, and they did 5.38 grain, and they shot really well. In fact, they were the best shooters of all. Now they're zinc coated, so the zinc coating may well sit in the one of this rifle barrel is better. So they seem to shoot much better. They shoot more accurately, which I shall show you, because I did shoot them sort of semi-rested and freestanding at 10 yards just to see what it was like in between rainstorms. It was, by the way. So that did 2.81 foot-pounds energy. So with the daisies, so that's quite healthy from new CO2, and that was a spread of 25. But if I had a couple of real high ones for some strange reason, take them away, it was 14 FPS. So that's 14 FPS over. So it's pretty consistent, shall we say. Right, going on to the targets. Now this was the first target. This was like semi-rested. These were the Umarex, and that's 14 shots. And they did group to the actual left, okay, around there. But they were shooting fairly high as well. I was actually aiming way below the target, a good inch below the actual target itself, and they were grouped around here. So this pistol does shoot high. Partially could be down to the sights, but you can get around that by changing the view of the foresight, which would bring the aim point down. And also it's got a fair bit of grunt as well. So that was the first magazine of 14, should we say. Excuse me. The second magazine was Daisies, again semi-rested, again grouping sort of to the actual left again. I'm not sure why. It might have been maybe me, maybe it was because the actual wasn't quite used to the trigger. It's quite a heavy pull. Even it's £7 with the hammer cocked. So, and then tried some dust devils, and as I said, they were all over the place. They were like literally all over the place. So forget dust devils, don't shoot very well. The fourth magazine, I went back to Daisies and I did some freestanding. Again, that was like single action. That was with the hammer cocked. Yeah, it's not really a single action pistol, but cocking the hammer actually takes a lot of the effort out of the actual pull. Okay, so again they were grouping. That's freestanding. Went on to Daisy's double action freestanding. I tried just pulling the trigger, okay, and they were really good. Maybe I was just getting used to the trigger, but they grouped really well. Again, I was aiming sort of down here. Okay, this is the fifth magazine, so we're like 64, yeah, about 64 shots in, 60 shots in. 14 shot magazines, and I was aiming right here again, and they were grouped around here, but they grouped really nice. That was just pulling them. So maybe I was just getting used to that trigger. So they're definitely getting better and better. Again, double action Daisies, freestanding again. I had a couple of flyers down here, but again they're all grouped in the middle. And then the final one to the seventh magazine. So that's 98 shots, and she was still grouping. That was a single action freestanding with Daisies. So I sort of stuck with the Daisies after that, but again, they're sort of grouping mainly sort of pretty central. Yeah, it could well be my aiming. But yeah, so it's 98 shots and she's still shooting well, you know. So this pistol is definitely capable of at least 98, at least 7 full 14 shot magazines. So yeah, weight wise, I did weigh her, because I didn't tell you the weight on that information. I think it was 885 grams. 1.95 pounds, so it's nearly 2 pounds, the actual pistol itself, without any CO2 or BBs in. So it's a decent weight. Barrel length I measured at 4.72 inches or 120 millimeters. So yeah, and they do say it'll do 125 meters per second, which is 360 according to their calculations. But it was doing 479, and it was doing 480, 486 with the Daisies. Over 14 shots, so it's definitely got the grunt. So yeah, I like this. I like the feel of it. Nice weight. It shoots well. I think it'll improve the more you shoot it. I think a little bit of what I'll do if I drop the magazine, because the actual barrel pulls back and goes into this pulls this latch down and goes inside there. Maybe a little bit of molybdenum grease on that inside edge, on that top edge there, will help that pull and be smoother. That might be a thing. Everything else seems pretty fine. Probably lubricate put a little bit of oil on the trigger, you know, and the back of the hammer. Normally grease the back of the hammer where the hinge points are. Those little things like that. But yeah, ejection port is not cut out. You know, it's fixed, but it looks quite nice. Okay. Best way to shoot this basically is to use the slide to cock it, so you know the hammer's cocked back, so you can put your magazine in, load your magazine, pop it in. Another thing about this is, one other thing is, it has got a few rattles, yeah. You don't notice it when you're shooting it, obviously, because it's not really an issue, see. Obviously you can't cock the slide when the magazine's in, so, but it has got a few rattled. The magazine, some playing the magazine, some playing the slide, but to be fair, I mean, it's not blowback. because the slide doesn't blow back, it doesn't affect the accuracy of it, because the slide is always going to be in a fixed position when you take the shot. It's not that the slide's moving around as you're going backwards and forwards. Okay, so yeah, I like it. Yeah, I think it's really well made. It seems really well put together. Nothing's loose on it. I've checked all the screws, and you know, we just went through. So apparently you can field strip it. You take this bolt out here, but that's tight. I've checked it, and I'm not going to try and move it. Like I said, somebody said that the problem that they had with some of them is that when they pulled slide back, it wouldn't go forward freely because that was too tight. Well, mine's perfect, so you know, no problem there. So yeah, what do I think of it? Yeah, I think like I said, it's 120. They do lots of different finishes as well, which is quite nice. It seems to shoot well once you get used to it. I think it'll improve with more use. I will do an outdoor shooting review when the weather finally improves, but I'll just cock this back so I can actually pop the magazine in, and then we'll decocker like that. Okay. So yeah, this decocker, by the way, you'd think that position would be a safety, but it's not. If you pull the trigger hard, it doesn't actually lock the triggers. It feels like it does, but if you pull hard enough, you can override it. So in a way, you know, nobody's going to be able to accidentally fire this off, you know, because the sheer pull required to shoot it. Even when you actually cock the hammer back, it's still £7. When you put it to that point there, it's still £7 to fire it. Okay, £7 pull. So yeah, I like it. Like the finish. I said rattles didn't really bother me too much. I mean, a lot of BB pistols rattle, and that doesn't bother me either. I do like the weight of the actual slide when you pull it. Because it's got such a meaty spring and it's full metal. It actually feels very much like a real high power brand, high power, which I did shoot when I was in the forces, you know, on the range. So yeah, it's nice. I like it. It's a bit blingy as well, actually. Yeah, I like it. So I'll be doing an outdoor shooting review when the weather improves, eventually, because I've got the CP88 competition to do a comparison with outdoors with the CP88. So I've got a few things I want to do when the weather improves and get out and do a bit of a shooting review. So yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's really nice. Like I said, I like the way you can also adjust the rear sights. These are set up central at the moment, and it seems to shoot pretty straight for a BB shooter. Be interesting to see how it shoots when you go further out. Being a BB shooter, I don't think it'd be more than maybe 12.5, maybe maximum of 15 meters with tin cans. You know, because it's just the nature of BB, really. Yeah. So yeah, it's all metal. Triggers all metal. All the lower, upper slide, everything is metal. The only thing that's not metal is the grips. So yeah, really nice. So I hope you like that little review. Just run you over it again. There you go. Take care. Thanks for watching.